I'm Mohammed Kamal. Let's hop onto the laptop and get started.
Great. In this episode, our goal is to achieve creating a flow using the flow designer. First of all, I'd like to walk you through in a couple of things before we start creating the flow, the new flow. So we have two options, like in our previous episode mentioned, we have two options. One is we can do it on the studio. On the studio, you go right there, system application, studio, and from the studio you need to select the scope, the application scope you are going to use. That's one option you have. With the in this we can follow that way. There's another way, which is you can go ahead flow designer, and then you have the designer and it will open in any window. Great. So with that, I want to take you to the studio here, studio, and from the studio I will go ahead and select which is the social media management application. Now we are on the social media management application. So in this application we're going to create a new flow. To create a new flow, it's very easy. You go ahead and click this the plus icon over there, which is create application, and we're gonna write flow. So we have a flow right here. Flow, we have the definition, and a flow is an automated process consisting of a sequence of actions. Right, so the benefit of flow designer, the flow designer is help you to automate processes. Okay, help you to automate processes, like for example approval. If you have a sequence of approval, you can automate that process using a flow designer. Some of you might be confused flow designer with a workflow. There's a difference here. Flow designer, it just came in Kingston release. So with the Kingston release came the flow designer came here. So with the flow designer you can do a lot of things, especially if you have a newer version starting Kingston, you are good to go to do the flow designer. But in case if you have an older version which is before Kingston, and if you have a workflow given older workflow that use the previous workflow, again you need to use the workflow instead of the flow designer. But if you are creating a new flow, if you are creating a new flow, it's good to use the flow designer instead of using the workflow, because it's low code or no code. Okay, there is a way to do a little bit of coding, but mostly you can achieve your goal by just using the flow designer. Saying that, let's go ahead and create a new flow. So once I click, a new flow will come up with a new window, and that window will come up and ask us two things here to choose one of the two. That's the flow designer. Take few seconds to load, and there you need to select either you are going to create a flow or a sub flow. Flow and sub flow. Flow is a consist of properties. So what is flow? Flow is a consist of properties. It has a property, a trigger, a sequence of action, data collected or created, and trigger specify the condition that start the flow. So it has a trigger that specify what going to start that flow. When the trigger condition is true, that is the time it's going to execute when it comes to the flow. When it comes to the subflow, we will look at all those in detail one by one and subsequently. When it comes to the subflow over here, when it comes to the subflow, it is the subflow doesn't have a trigger, and it defines a sequence of reusable action that can be tried started from a flow, subflow, or a script. That's what you need to do. So it doesn't have a trigger. Okay, what you need to do is it's a reusable actions. You can start it from a given flow or a subflow or even a script. Yes, but in our case, that's what we're going to do, which is a flow. So this one doesn't have a trigger and that one has a trigger. Those are the difference here. And now let's go ahead and click next so we can create our first flow for social media application management. Now, What we need to do here is we need to set a couple of things, which is filling up some of the properties here, which is the flow properties. The first one is giving a name. So let's give it a name here that is up to us based on the requirement. It's social media response approval. So social media response approvals. So whenever you give a name, try to be specific. Try to be specific, and then try to be descriptive as much as possible what that flow is specifically doing, because you might need to reuse that in the future. Yeah, with that said, the next thing is selecting the application. So that's where I am, which is the social media management application. And the protection policy, you can apply a protection policy if you would like, but usually the protection policy, if you are creating something, because you might need to use them, so you can give it none. But if you want to do, you can make it read only, so it will not gonna be edited once it is published. Under description part, like I said earlier, try to be more specific to describe what that flow specifically doing. Great, so I delete it. Let's be careful on that. So the name, it is social media response approvals. That's what we have. What I would do, I'm gonna copy that and then put it under description. It contains the flow contains the flow to approve social media response. Okay, that's what it does. So that's what it does. And run as, all right, it contain, okay, contain. Run as users who initiate the session, or users who initiate the session, or it can be system users. So, but I want to do it as users who initiate the session. Whoever is initiated, that's what it needs. Let's give it some time to say it. So, great. Now we have submitted and we come up here with the flow designer. Now we need to specify a couple of things. The first thing is a trigger. So what is going to trigger this flow? Okay, that's the approval, right? This is something that we're going to take care of the approval through this flow. So we need to specify the trigger. What is going to trigger it? Is this a new record creation? Is it a record that going to be updated when a given record is updated? So we need to specify. All right, so that's what trigger is. So to do that, we can select, see the plus icon over here, add trigger. So if you have it over, you will have add trigger. So you can click that, select to add the trigger. Okay, so the trigger action, we can go ahead and select using that the plus icon. And now what will happen, or what we need here the trigger to be is a record need to be updated. Okay, we have got updated here, created, updated. Those are the triggers. These are the triggers. You have a record, something related with the record, related with the dates like daily, weekly, monthly. And also you also have applications like SLA task, inbound email, the service catalog. So when you hover over, one quick tip let me give to you. You have two ways. If you don't know what updated, if you don't know what daily trigger is, you have two ways to get that insight. The first thing, you can read the documentation. Okay, if you have time, you can go to the documentation from the help section and you can read about that. Let me pull up this one. If I can, I'm gonna pull up and make it more visible. Okay, that's what I have. I think got some comment here. I have to make it bigger. Great. So let's go ahead and see the trigger here. Like I said, you have different sections here. Updated. What is updated? Updated means, okay, it trigger initiates from the ServiceNow record update. That means the condition filter. Okay, you set the condition filter and configure the trigger to initiate the flow on only the first occurrence of the condition, which is run once or every time the condition is met, which is always. If you keep it always, that's when it's every time. And when always is selected, the flow will trigger every time the record is updated, unless the flow is currently running for what record time the update happens. Okay, then the flow that use approvals, it is recommended that you configure the flow to run once. So for a flow that use just approval, because in approval things need to be approved once, right? Not gonna be multiple times, so it need to be recommended you do it just run once. But there are some other things that may need to be always. But in case of approval, in case of our requirements, it need to be once. Okay, so that's the tooltip you have. Whatever things you don't know, for example, daily. Okay, it trigger initiates on a daily basis at the configured time. You configure a certain time. Great. Sorry about that, guys. So let's go ahead and here and see got updated. And the next thing, we're gonna enter the monitor. All right. So we have the table. I've got the table here. That's the table we have monitor. That's the table we have, which is do SNC social media monitor. Great. That's the table we have, the monitor, which is the social media. So whatever table you are going to update, okay, that's what the table you're going to select here. But in response to our, based on our requirement, that the table we are going to work, which is the table is SNC social media monitor. If you are working on incident table, you need to select over here the incident. If you are working on problem or change, whatever table you are working, you can add that. Great. The next thing we can go ahead and select here the add filter link. Okay, the add filter. So we have the condition right here. So we need to add conditions. What are the conditions we need to add here? Okay, so that will help us to the condition will tell us what condition you want to do. Great. Yeah, so the condition here, if the state, now you're gonna have here state, there you will have different fields over here. If I have the state, okay, when the state change, okay, now we can need to change to, when the state change to what? Approval request. Approval requested. Okay, when that change, like I got a record come to me, and this flow will check or it will run, because we are doing here a trigger. Don't forget we are doing a trigger. So when the state changes to approval requested, the flow will initiate. Okay, it will start working here, right? Every time the request approval button is used, when you click, every time when the request approval button is clicked, this will be initiated. So we can make any change as per your requirement. You can make any change if you would like to have. Now we're going to do the trigger here, run trigger. Like I said earlier, this need to be once for each unique only only if not currently running, or for every. So this one need to be for each unique change. Why? Because if there is any unique change, like whenever you have any unique change, so that's what will happen. The next thing is we can configure the first action. Okay, we have done with the trigger. If you want to do advanced option based on your requirement, but in these requirements, we don't need to do the advanced option where you can have a little bit of a script over there, but here we don't need to do. We're gonna just go ahead and click done. Okay, we done this one, which is the trigger is done. When the state is changed, this flow will trigger. Now what action we want to do? What action we going to do? Action. Even the name is telling us add action, flow logic or subflow to the end of your flow. Action. What action you need? Okay, approval is requested. Now what action you going to make? Great. So for that you need to select the button, which is here, the select action button with the ServiceNow core. Now we have a number of things here. We have actions, different actions here. You just need to click on the action again where you have the gear icon. You have the ServiceNow core, you have connect, continuous integration. That's what you do, the integration. We're gonna cover the integration part, which is also the ServiceNow Flow Designer, which is the Now Platform feature, help you to do, not just to do the different automating different processes, but also you can integrate with a third-party application with a few clicks. It's really cool. I'm gonna show you that one in a subsequent episode, but in this episode we want to continue working on this part. But like I said, with the Flow Designer you can do continuous integration if you'd like to do. There's a custom service, global, GRC, which is governance, risk and compliance, which is really booming these days because of the high demand in the security area, in the federal government area. So the GRC, there's human resource core, human resource, which is also really booming these days, the HR part, because of people are working remote. So you have that. There's an ITSM here, the IT service management, which is actually the cornerstone for ServiceNow. ServiceNow was really known at the beginning by its ITSM, and it was back in 2013 and all the way back. So that was, I think, the time the ITSM was started. There's a password reset, there's a redact, risk, that's also related with risk. So redact, there's a visual task board, VTB, a lot of cool features like AWS, Lambda, a lot of cool features. So whenever you guys have time, I really suggest you guys go all over here. There's a Gmail, Google Calendar. That's where you can integrate. Okay, Google Cloud Virtual Network. A lot of cool features ServiceNow are adding. Is it Jira over here? Jenkins. Yeah, next time also we're gonna come back how we can integrate ServiceNow with Jira. I'll also show you guys. There's a Twitter here, Twilio. Those are a social media platform. You can integrate those as well. Here is also Zoom. You can integrate Zoom. And finally, you got the integration hub, which is really cool part of the ServiceNow. I'm gonna show you that all those cool features step by step. Please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel as well. Great. So with this step, we're gonna add the action. So with the action, we have got the ServiceNow core, and I'm gonna go ahead. You scroll a little bit down here, and then we can update record. That's what we're going to do. Now we need to find update record. What update record do? You can just read over here. Okay, what update record? Update an existing record. Okay. On a ServiceNow table, you can dynamically update a table based on this flow. That's what the updates do. Great. So we need to identify the record to be updated by dragging the monitor record peel from the data pane. So we have got that. I'm going to show you that. So update record, that's the one we're going to select. And now we have the data peel. These are called the data peel picker, and we have right here toggle scripting on for a record. If you want to do a scripting for a given record, you can do so. But most of the time, you may be good enough by just using the picker. Now, we can do a couple of things here. The first thing here, like I said, you have the action, update record. Now we need to have the record. What is the record? And the second thing, which table is that? And what is the field? What is the field? Those are the three things we need to do here. So the first thing we need to pull monitor record. Over there we have right here monitor record from the data. We need to pull it and put it under the record part. So you have two ways. You can pull it and drag and drop here, or you can just use the data field from here. Once you do that, the table will automatically populate. That's the table we have, the monitor, right? It will automatically populate for us. Second thing, we can click add field value. What do you need? What is the field value you want to come up with? So where is it? The state field, right? That's what we talked about earlier, right? The state field. What do you want the state to be? What do you want the state to be? Pending approval. Okay? Pending approval. Because it was what? Approval requested. Whenever you have, that's the trigger. Whenever you have approval requested, now we want to change that to what? Pending approval. Great. Awesome. Pending approval. That's what we need to do. Great. All right. Awesome. Now, like I said earlier, I really appreciate you guys. Click done here. Don't click delete or cancel. So because whatever we did, we need to save it. So click done. Now we can verify that here. We have a trigger and we have got an action as well. Okay. Trigger and an action. Great. With that said, now we can test our work. Testing is good. So we can test our work either manually by selecting the request approval button on any monitor records to trigger the flow. Yeah, we can go back there and we can do that. Testing can also be done in the flow designer itself. That's another option. Over here we can test it and see. But the other option is we can do from the backend. Great. Now let's go ahead and test. See? Test a flow before publishing it. Run test allow you to execute your flow to verify the result immediately. So we can verify. This is the record that I created before. If you remember in our episode 1, that's what we recorded. Now I'm going to go ahead and run because this record was requested. Now I'm going to go ahead and test that and see if it works. Alright, it's been executed, and to view the flow we can click here. Yes, so the execution detail, we can click and read execution detail here and we can see that. So we'll open in a new window. Okay, a new window over there. So we have the execution. Look at that. Monitor updated. Open current record, updated record, core action completed. Awesome. Alright, so the configuration level right there, we have the value, state is configured, and it's set to 3, which is pending approval. That is really awesome. Alright. We can open the current record and see. If you want to see right there, state. Where is the state? Pending approval. Great. See, that's the description we have. Yeah. You can just click there and see what the state you have. Okay, great. Now we have completed the action. We completed the trigger. We completed the action. We tested. Okay. Now we are in a great start. If you are so far right here, we are in a great start. And the next thing is we're gonna go ahead and add flows to it. Okay, for that, okay, I think we have completed what we need to achieve in this episode. I'm gonna go to the next episode with the next in the next video. Until we see each other, this is Muhammad Kamal. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel to get more video. Until we see each other, that was Muhammad Kamal from the Global Mindset University. Have a great day.
That's all we have for today. Feel free to drop your comment below, or you can send me directly at contact@servicenowstar.com. Don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe to our channel to get more new videos. Until we see each other with the next episode, take care.